Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're diving into something that I think a lot of us have at least thought about. Like, what happens if you slip and fall at like a store?
Yeah.
In California, what are your options if something like that happens? Like, is there even anything you can do? We dug into some resources to figure that out. It's interesting stuff. You can feel a little overwhelming, like you're in this legal maze.
It definitely can.
But yeah, we're going to try to break it down and like make sense of it all.
Right.
So the first thing is figuring out like what are your options, right?
Yeah.
From what we've read, it seems like there are three basic paths you can take. You can file an insurance claim, you can try to negotiate a settlement directly, or you can actually go the full lawsuit route.
Yeah. Those are the big three.
Okay. So let's start with insurance, because I feel like that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind, right? I know in California, stores are required to have liability insurance for like slip and fall accidents.
Right. They are.
But insurance, to be honest, is like a total mystery to me. Like, what exactly is liability insurance and how does it work in a situation like this?
Well, it's kind of like a safety net, right?
Okay.
For both you, the person who is injured, and the store. It's designed to make sure that if you get hurt because of something like, I don't know, a wet floor or a hazard the store should fix, that there's a way to cover the costs, like your medical bills, maybe you miss work, so you lose wages, even things like pain and suffering. It all kind of factors into it.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just about like the store trying to get out of paying anything.
No, not at all.
It's more about having a system in place to like fairly handle these situations.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes it easier for everyone involved to know that there's a process for dealing with this.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And the most important thing to understand here is, negligence. To actually get compensation, you need to prove that the store was negligent.
Okay, so what does that mean, like, legally speaking, negligent?
So you have to show that the store knew or should have reasonably known about the dangerous condition that caused your fall, but they didn't do anything to fix it.
So, like, if I'm walking down the aisle and there's a box just sitting in the middle of the floor and I trip over it, that would be like a pretty clear case of negligence.
Yeah, that would be a strong argument, yeah. But to really win your case, you need evidence. Think of it like a puzzle.
Okay.
You got to have all the pieces to see the full picture. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk about evidence. What kind of evidence are we talking about here?
Well, a lot of things can be helpful, like right after the fall, if you can, take pictures or even videos of the scene, especially whatever caused you to fall. And don't overlook those little details, like even...
Oh, yeah, like one of our sources talked about a torn shoelace. Like, that's a little detail, but it could be important evidence later.
You never know what might become relevant. So, yeah, that's a great example. It's also a good idea to, if you can, get a copy of the store's accident report. And I know this might feel a little weird, but if there were any witnesses around, try to get their contact information. They could be really valuable later on.
Okay, good point. So it's all about like documentation.
Yeah.
Right? Documenting as much as you can at the scene.
Document everything. And don't forget about your clothes.
Oh, right.
Hold on to those clothes and the shoes you were wearing.
Yeah.
They can be evidence too. And of course, the most important thing is to seek medical attention right away, no matter how minor the injury might seem at the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Those medical records, keep all of them. That is super important evidence.
Okay, so speaking of time, because we're talking about getting this evidence right away, I know there's something called the statute of limitations, right?
Right, there is.
Like, how long do you have to actually take legal action after a slip and fall?
So in California, you have 2 years from the date of the accident to file a lawsuit.
Okay.
But, and this is important, the clock starts ticking the second you fall.
Oh, wow. So it's not like you have 2 years to just kind of like sit around and decide what to do.
Right, exactly. And the longer you wait, the harder it can be to track down evidence. Witnesses might move, memories fade.
Yeah, that's true.
It's best to get the ball rolling as soon as possible.
Okay, so this is where a personal injury attorney comes in, right? Because I know all of our sources really emphasize the importance of getting legal help.
Yes.
But I can also see how someone might think, well, it's just a slip and fall. Do I really need a lawyer for this? Like, when is it actually necessary to get an attorney involved?
Well, honestly, a good attorney can be your best friend in a situation like this. Especially because, the legal system, it can be confusing.
Yeah.
They know all the ins and outs of personal injury law. They know exactly what evidence to gather and how to preserve it. And they're really good at, the whole negotiation process with insurance companies, which can be tricky.
Yeah.
So, and of course, if it does end up going to court, they'll be there to represent you and fight for your rights.
So they're like that expert guide that helps you navigate that legal maze that we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap things up here, what's the one key takeaway that you want listeners to walk away with?
I would say, slip and fall cases, they can seem really overwhelming. But remember, knowledge is power, right? Understand your options, act quickly, and don't hesitate to reach out to a legal expert, get some advice.
Good advice.
Those steps can seriously change how things turn out for you.
Totally. And, it makes me think about something like if more people knew about their rights and what they could do after a slip and fall.
Yeah.
Could that actually make stores safer? If they knew people were more aware of their options, would they be more careful about preventing accidents in the first place? It's something to think about.
Yeah, it definitely is. It makes you wonder, how much does awareness impact safety overall?
That's a great point. And on that note, we'll wrap things up here. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Call now 714-442-9741. Thank you.